Hi, everyone, and welcome to our next episode of CU Faith Fridays, where we interview students about their faith journey, their faith life, and a little bit of how they're living that during this time of pandemic. So today we have with us junior Dennis Martin. Dennis, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Great. Well, we'll start off with our first question, which is just really, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who you are, where you're from, what are some of the things that you're involved in on campus?
Okay, well, starts. My name is Dennis Martin, as you've mentioned. I'm a junior at Caldwell University. I'm a double major in social studies and elementary education. I do work on campus as like a federal work study job. I work in my EOF office, and that's majorly the group that I'm a part of on campus. I joined the EOF in the summer of 2017, and it doesn't really feel like a program to me. It almost really does feel like a second family. Like I have people that are actually like it's almost like a community that I can always rely on, not just a person, a group. It's a literal community that I rely on campus that I go to whenever I feel like I need to feel that there's something going on. There's people who I know that will provide me like the smiles and the laughs that I need to get throughout the week, and just like people who I can relate to when we're all struggling together during midterms and finals. I mean, I'm a Lasso club member, but like I'm just a club member. I honestly do feel like I play more of a role in EOF just because it is that family setting. We all kind of have this sense of accountability. And in a way, like having Miss Andre St. Felix as like the director and having her be like such a passionate, like faith role model, like she is so in tune with her faith. Like um she knows her Bible. She knows she knows the mission of this university so well that she knows how to put together like the ideas of education, the ideas of Catholic social teaching together. And without her, I feel like EOF would not have had such a great integration and family unit that it is now. So that's why I'm like so heavily involved in it, because she really does inspire me to be able to do that. It's like to be able to come in every day and ask and make sure that everyone is okay, and being able to accept also that I'm not okay and can
Yeah,
come to a family to help me. Like
that's great.
she is such an amazing person. I'm amazed at how she runs that program, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So not to like step back a little bit, but just
Right.
for any of our listeners who might not know what EOF is, would you be able to kind of describe like, do you guys just take classes together? What is EOF? And because that's really the foundation,
Right.
it sounds like, of
Mhm.
your community at Caldwell.
Yeah. So EOF is stands for Educational Opportunity Fund. It's a program that is able to help students that come from low income backgrounds, low income socioeconomic statuses, to be able to provide them um, not just financial help, but also it's like there's aspects to the academic help that EOF provides, because there's these stigmas against minorities in higher education, and not saying that I have felt that, but I understand that we are progressing, that it hasn't completely gone away where minorities are just expected to have these um, not so good retention rates in college. And, like we have a mission to prove, we have people to prove wrong. And so when I first came to Caldwell, I was skeptical just because it was a private college and I was applying for public universities that I had gotten accepted to. And I'm like, the school is kind of like not in my budget. But it was through EOF that, like, through my accepted students day, where I was able to like understand some things about like the academic scholarship, and then also like EOF's help. I did really want to like do something over the summer instead of just be bored. So a summer program where I kind of get to meet people before I come into the university, and then always be a part of that, was something that like I truly valued. And even before getting into it and then being in it, it was just one of the funnest things of my life. And
Mhm.
so, like there were and we have these requirements. Like when you're an EOF student, you join because you have a mission to prove. And so you have these people who are willing to help you, but you have to be able to help yourself first too. And that's the point. It's like there's no excuse if you fail because you have a family that's there to help you. And if you're not taking the resources wisely, it almost seems like there was no point because this is a university where if you lose that FAFSA, you're pretty much gone. And so we all, like, am I wrong? So it's like we really do have like a big mission anytime we're a Caldwell student. We have something
Mhm.
that we are really um it's very fragile what we're holding. It's very
Mm.
fragile what we have to protect. It's very fragile what we have to continue holding on to. And so we have to do it to the best of our abilities, and EOF is a constant reminder of that.
Wow. Wow. That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I think, yeah, almost like this experience allows the playing field to be leveled just a little bit more. Um,
Hmm.
and I love the way that you described that. That education is a gift. It's this fragile thing that you're
Hmm.
holding and that you have to really like care for and work hard for. And I think those are really beautiful, beautiful words. And I think it's awesome that EOF has provided that community for you in that space. And I know that there's a lot of other students at Caldwell that feel that way too. And so
Hmm.
I think yeah, that's really special, what you shared. So I'd love to touch on, you talked about Miss Andre a little bit,
Yes.
kind of the idea of, faith or spiritual role models for you. And we'll get to later in the interview. Dennis is a part of the RCIA process. This year, as you heard in our last episode, Molly Heller did the RCIA process last year. So we'll talk a little bit about that with Dennis. But first, yeah, who are, either if it's more about Miss Andre or who are other like spiritual or faith mentors in your life?
Hmm. Well, first is Miss Audrey. Definitely have to point her out. Just because, when I coming into Caldwell University, I didn't, like I knew it was a Catholic school, but I never really knew. Again, I came into Caldwell University the same way I came to RCIA, which was having almost no knowledge of the religion that I had a title to, just
Mhm.
because I was baptized. And
Mhm.
so Miss Andre was someone who really like resembled a lot of figures in my family, but like someone who wasn't like related to me. It was like someone who I could honestly like speak to when I had issues going on in school that I couldn't share with my parents because they didn't go to high school, they didn't go to
Mhm.
college. Like she was someone who I was able to like actually like share like these like struggles, these complex feelings, and like she was willing to listen. She's also another part of the reason why I wanted to do RCIA because she was one of the first people who brought it up to me. And at the time that she had brought it up, I was hesitant and reluctant because I was so worried about time. Like I was worried about the time management because I'm not the best at it. And so I was worried that like with everything that I was doing, plus having also like this program to go to, um, I was scared to be able to like I was scared to like feel like I was going to get so anxiety induced and then just eventually crumble. But then, I was in a much better position after I took, and here's another one, Dr. Mulaney, in the history
Mhm.
department, because I was taking her History of Catholics in America class. It was in a rich core. I needed it, but I also like Dr. Mulaney is honestly one of my favorite people on campus. Let's be real about that. Like she is someone who I admire as a history major because she knows what she's doing. She knows what she says is right. Like you can tell the woman has studied for years,
Mhm.
like what she does. Like you can tell she loves it, and I want to love it just as much. So for her to also have been Catholic and then like we have this relationship where we're able to talk to each other after class and just like um it's all good intention kind of conversations about like she asked me how am I doing, what's going on, and I let her know. So when I told her that Miss Andre had tried to get me into RCIA, she was also a big step. She was just like, well, if this class helps you decide that you want to like apply what you're learning here to there, I say go for it. And I was just like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Like, I might as well go into it at least now, like admitting that I'm still in the learning process, but I'm doing it while I'm also learning in school. So, um, for her to have done that, and then Miss Andre just being that constant variable that had never failed to like provide me these lessons, these aspects of hope that I really needed at some points during the 4 years, I guess, because that's it's not easy, but but yeah, like those two really did push me to join RCIA. And then family members, I have a bunch, but my most right now, I have an aunt in Nicaragua, and she was sent there by one of my cousins because he didn't want her because they lived in New York, mind you. So like he was too scared, and she's old too. So like he was too scared for her to kind of fall victim to the virus.
Mm,
So he had a plane ticket set for her to stay in Nicaragua until the pandemic kind of like settled down. So that way, like, because New York is the highest,
yeah.
um, is the most densely populated case state
Yeah.
in
Yep.
terms of
Yep.
COVID-19. And then so it is like very sad to know that that's the reason why she's there. It's not because she's on vacation. It's just it's
Hmm.
kind of like refuge, like trying to like protect yourself from getting sick, from
Yeah.
passing on. But like she's been so hopeful. She's been very amazing. Like um she's always been someone who definitely like celebrated every Catholic holiday. She's someone who definitely always stayed true to just teachings about like morality. And she really is someone who I feel like is a part of that like community where it's like you always have to care for the people who are less than you, like always care for the people
Hmm.
who have less than you. Like
Hmm.
this woman will bring $700 to Nicaragua and give toys to as many kids as she wants because like she knows that not every kid has clothes, not every kid has toys, not every kid has someone who they rely on to provide them with like a tangible object that shows that they have something that they can be proud of, that
Hmm.
they're they don't have nothing.
Hmm.
And so um, those three are the biggest that come to mind when I think about who are my role models in faith.
That's awesome. Awesome. Um, you mentioned a little bit, just in some of the challenges from, COVID-19 and this pandemic of having your aunt now pretty far away. What are some of the other challenges that you feel like you faced in this time? Whether
Well,
it's just
one,
simple things at home or bigger things.
right. One, I'm an education major. So not being able to go to the classrooms to do my
Yeah.
observation hours was one of the biggest struggles. And like, okay, let's be real. I'm not in the worst position. I only had needed 4 hours left. So it was just like, when you get 89 on something, you just wish the professor would slip in the 1 point. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like I wish I had that extra day that I could have gotten those 4 hours done and
Yeah.
just get the 75 hours that I needed for this semester over with. I
Mhm.
was there. I just needed four. And there was a point in time where like I wasn't me and my cooperating teacher were not active in communication. I had to kind of rely on my supervisor and Dr. Bolger to kind of give me ideas about
Mhm.
like what can I do in terms of like alternatives. And then through bunch of text messages and emails, we were able to actually like come up with a solution of just me doing a lesson plan and kind of then taking it as an evaluation. I actually got an email back yesterday saying that the lesson plan was amazing, and so
Oh,
that
great.
kind of like fulfills
Congrats.
my 4 hours because it also had an accompanying PowerPoint that I had
Mhm.
to make with it, and it was so hard because like um my cooperating teacher has like a certain like lesson plan. He has a certain curriculum that involves the classroom. Like the kids had to have these materials, the kids had to have this. And so making a lesson like that accessible virtually is like I had to change things up that I didn't
Mm.
think I needed to. But now coming to the challenge, like I have to try to like, okay, like the teachers wanted me to do it this way. I'm gonna have to change things up just a bit differently. And I think it all paid off really well. So
Mhm.
that was really like the biggest struggle. Like trust me, being in quarantine does suck, especially when all your classes are online because there are days where you're not motivated. especially when you're
Mm,
at home. Like that was one of the things that I loved about every even if I had to walk up the hill, being a commuter and take the bus, like
mhm,
that was one of the best things. Like I was able to enjoy those walks. I was able to like move around in days where even if it was rainy, I knew I was going to be somewhere that wasn't going to reflect the the feeling of what you got from being outside in that like kind
mm,
of misty rain. And
yeah,
so like being home sometimes like it does put a damper, like a down on like the mood, um especially when you're doing papers and you're writing things in like chunks, like segments. You can't just get it done like one fall swoop. And so that has really been my biggest struggle. At least at home, like we're honestly doing better than we had anticipated because of the stimulus relief. And
mm,
so, and I am doing my part in like making sure to help my parents whenever they need it, like especially when it's the food shopping time, like when we're taking in things that we bought and we're disinfecting everything before we put them away, just to make
mhm.
sure that we're being fully precautious. So, we're accommodating to this lifestyle. Some harder than others, some are taking more time, but I'm slowly like digressing, like I guess.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I feel like because it's springtime, it's been raining a lot more. And I have to agree with you. Like on days like when I woke up this morning and it's just kind of dreary because it's supposed to rain today, I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, why can't we just have the sunshine for more than 2 days in a row or something like that? So
Right.
it really affects like kind of the mood. But yeah. Um, Going back, touching back to RCIA a little bit,
Mhm.
how has that process been for you? What have been some things that you really feel like you've learned, or ways that you've really grown in your faith through that process?
Well, the process, what I think I loved the most about it was that it was natural. Like I honestly kept coming into it, like you have these expectations, these assumptions of what it was going to be. And so growing up, I just remember like my mom telling me that when she went to a Catholic school, it was kind of like very strictly regimented and like, very disciplined in a way. So coming into I had pre assumptions, but then like eventually I knew that I had people like Dejanay and Allison who were also in the program. And then coming into it, seeing you and Dr. Cimarelli was amazing. It just really felt natural. Like it didn't really feel like I was going to a meeting. It just felt like I had people to talk to in a conversation about this specific topic. And I think that's what allowed me to like fully like immerse myself in those conversations and allow myself to learn about um we learned a lot about the saints. We've learned a lot about kind of like the different sacraments that once you've been confirmed you take part of, and not just that you've been confirmed, because they're the sacraments you do before you're confirmed. Confirmation is its own sacrament, but learning about those is very interesting to me, and it is important because that is part of the tradition that I choose to carry on.
Mm,
And just everything from I guess what I've really learned about Catholicism is that it really is um it pays so much attention to the human condition. Like it does really want you to heal in any way that you can, and will try to provide any ways that you can do that, because some sacraments are meant for that. It's meant for you to be able to take the step further into the next chapter of your life. It's meant for you to be able to heal in times of where you have no one else to talk to.
mm,
It's able to remind you of goals where your contributions are actually going to benefit others. Like, I just feel like at the end of the day, I'm constantly being reminded of like that I'm human when I'm also Catholic. And then it's like to be able to just apply that, like sometimes not saying anything negative here, but I do feel like most people feel like they're obligated to have a mission in their faith, especially when in a time where like there's not that many people who are willing to express faith. I just we've talked about this growing age of atheism, people kind of lacking faith in especially hard times, which is kind of hard to believe because why would you lack faith in a hard time? But it's just what goes on today. And then so many people have these obligations of like a mission, a role, and they play this really big leadership role. Um, and I'm going into this, I know I'm not ready for that yet, but this program made it seem like, oh, that's okay. Like you can still be in your faith and still be a human who's just living their lives every day, who could just, like combine the two lifestyles of just having a faith that you can rely on and then also having yourself to rely on. And so
Mm.
that's what I feel like I've learned most from this process, about like how I can still be really immersed in my faith and yet still be the person that I am um, without having to take a leadership role. Not that I want to, but I know I'm not ready for that yet. I'm
Mhm.
still learning. Like I'm still like it's okay to like, even no matter how old I am, I can still learn about my faith.
Yeah, yeah, it's always a process. It's always a learning process, a growing process, and I love what you said about like Catholicism really pays attention to the human condition. I never have even thought about it being said that way, but I think that that's just such a beautiful statement that there is no expectation that you're in a particular place. It really is just all about the journey and the growth process in that. So um, yeah, so I think that's a beautiful thing, and I guess oh, I had a follow-up question and it just left my mind. But I guess just yeah, I think kind of what you were saying, like why have faith, especially during a time like this. So we're in this pandemic. Why have faith? Why?
Like, wow. Again, didn't really think this through because I said it, but now it's like, wow. I mean, okay, I feel like no matter if you say you don't have faith, the moment that you believe things will get better, to me, is you indicating that you have faith.
Mm,
That to me in itself, like someone can say that they don't really have like a religion or a faith that they practice, but then the moment that I feel like you are showing indications of you thinking things are going to get better, you're going with the flow, you're just continuing to like move on as life goes on, to
mhm,
me that indicates that you have this feeling, this internal instinct that things are going to get better somehow. You don't really
mm,
have like the equation, you don't have the theory of how it's going to work, but you just have it. And to me, that is almost a great definition of what faith is. It's kind of just you allowing to, even in vulnerable moments, it's that you are willing to accept that you have the lack of control you do, and you're willing to give the control to something that's higher than you, that is going that actually has the ability to take you where either you want to go or where you have to go, and it will depend on you to accept it, because at the end of the day, um, nobody caused this. Nobody caused like this. Like I know we, as state actors, like in terms of like countries, we try to like put the blame on other people. But at the end of the day, this is something medical. This is
mhm,
something that kind of nobody even thought was going to get to this extent anyway.
mhm,
And it does sadden me when I see that people are kind of like blaming other people for what is going on. And to me, that's just not right. At the end of the day, the moment that we have faith in that things will get better, it's going to feel much more alleviating when it does.
mhm,
And so, because I just feel that faith is what kind of allows for things to actually go up and down, in terms of like we're going through something, now we're going to have some relief. I feel like if we didn't have faith, things would just kind of be like a constant linear line going up of just problems after problems after problems, because we're not actually
mm,
taking the time to realize, wait, we're not going just from problem to problem. We actually had a curve where we actually just felt this
mhm,
relief. We felt the solution. We're in. Let's actually celebrate this and see how long we can carry this on before we have another issue to deal with, and then try to apply that to not just the individual aspect of who knows. Like I understand that there are some people who are upset that their senior prom, their eighth grade banquets, everything is kind of being canceled. But also keep in mind, nobody planned this against you. There's nobody
Right, right.
hurting you. Nobody intentionally wanted to ruin this year for you.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
And to see students, especially at Caldwell, like just kind of accepting things and to being able to like understand that things just took a turn, that it's all right, things will get better. And it just happened to have been this way, but this is the plan, this is how it goes. Like to me, that's what we need right now. We need to just accept the lack of control. We need to be able to just have faith that things are going to get better. And that when we experience that moment when it does get better, just write it to the fullest. Just really just appreciate it, because it will really suck when we have a moment where we get so tense and it's just ongoing for different reasons. So
Mhm.
like that to me is kind of the reason why we do need faith, is kind of just to allow ourselves to not feel so rattled up in the tension. And um at the end of the day, we talked about that gospel. We talked about the gospel about the sheep and the shepherd.
Mhm.
And, we need to have faith that the gate will be open,
Mm.
not that the shepherd will open the gate,
Mm.
not that someone else will open the gate with bad intention. That's not it at all. At this
Yeah.
point, we just have to kind of leave it up to God to this point to direct us in wherever He wants to. And when that gate is visible to us, we're going to go forth.
That's
But
beautiful.
for now, the gate is just not there yet. He
Mhm.
hasn't shown it yet. It's okay. It's okay to be wandering. It's okay. Like sometimes you see animals on a valley and you have no idea what they're doing. It's blank. But it's such a beautiful image when you do see it though. Because that is a complete reflection of who we are too. We are lost in this world. We're figuring out our ways,
Mhm.
and that's completely okay.
Mhm.
Eventually they will find somewhere to go, they will find a path, and you don't know why they're going that path, but that's completely fine.
Yeah. And the shepherd is always looking for us,
Right.
and trying to bring us back. Yeah. And lead us through that gate. So that's beautiful. I loved those thoughts that you shared. That's excellent. So I guess in closing, are there any other thoughts or comments that you would like to share with our listeners?
Wow. Um, you know, I just feel like if anyone is listening who thought about doing RCIA but also was reluctant like I was in the beginning, I just think um I know I wanted to do this while knowing something else too before coming into it, but I feel like this program has shown me that even if you like, let's say you know nothing, like if you just have kind of like the title, you don't really know where it stems from in your family, you're still trying to figure a bunch of things out about why it is a part of you and why you kind of want that to be a part of you. Um, I think no RCIA program in any other university can top this, even though I've only been to this one. It just feels like a natural process. Like you're allowed to critically think about the decisions you're making and how you're applying those to Catholicism. You're able to really meditate on those thoughts. You're really able to like let it sink in. And to me, I feel like the best way that someone can get in tune with their faith is if they're able to immerse in it, but at a way where it doesn't feel forced. I feel like now that we're kind of like adults, we're all trying to figure things out. We know now that the decisions we make today may influence the decisions we make tomorrow, and the next week after that, and the next month after that. So it's like from from now on, it's like we take things and we appreciate when things are in most of our control, and this program kind of allows you to have that control in a world where you don't necessarily have it. Like you're able to really feel like you do have um, places where you can actually decide, I want to do this, I have the ability to do this, I really do see myself in this position years later on. And to me, that's what RCIE has taught me most. It's kind of take um just take note, and then it's almost the same way that you do as a class. You take notes and you'll try to apply it for something that's going to come up and something that's going to be a major event. The same way you study notes for a test and for an exam, you learn about these things because in your life you're going to see them throughout your everyday lives, and you may want to participate. You may maybe want to be able to prove to yourself that you've taken these things into deep consideration and that you want to apply them to your life, and you'll be able to make it something that you'll enjoy and you'll pass it down for generations on. So um, and to think that it's just from this, like there are some kids who I know just strictly are put into Catholic school, and they're learning because that's what their parents want them to do. And I
Mhm.
understand that, and I think it's a beautiful thing too. But there's something really beautiful when it's an adult who's still trying to figure things out, who does not have all the answers, who is completely lost, just like everybody else in this world right now,
Mhm.
and they're still seeking to learn more about their faith and try to
Mhm.
apply that in some way that they can.
Mhm.
So, if anyone is listening that wants to be able to do that, RCIA is probably the best step one that you'll find.
Great. Awesome. Well, high praise. High praise. So, well, excellent. Well, thank you, Dennis, for being with us today. And thank you all who have tuned in to hear a little bit. I hope that you've been inspired or touched by something that Dennis shared today. So, next week, we'll have a different guest with us on CU Faith Fridays, and we'll see you then. Thank you.